Oh.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna give it a second and sorry, I'm gonna mute this, guys, because we're trying to do both here.
I'm gonna make this a little wider.
So everyone joining us, we are trying to go live on Zoom and on Instagram at the same time because we've got a special guest, Stacey Ann Buchanan, who's going to help us unravel. I think Stacey's also at the protest for Regis Kaczynski-Paquette. I think which we've all been tackling this week as well. And so what we're going to do is try to make sure that you guys can see us and hear us. I'm hoping from both Instagram and for those on Zoom. And we're just waiting. Stacey, can you hear us? Because we can't hear you yet.
I don't think she can hear us.
I can't.
I think she's trying to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think she's
Oh.
trying to go somewhere.
Okay.
Until Stacey is able to fully. Still can't hear you. Let me message that I can't. We can't hear her because this is important for Stacey to be a part of this because I think this week is one of those weeks that we can't tackle. Okay, she's connecting to the audio again.
Oops.
This is a topic that we just don't feel that we can tackle by ourselves. And so we needed Stacey's help to be able to unwrap the feelings that we are having right now. It's been a tough week for us, and I think for us as a people, and for us as individuals. And this show, Stacey will be our first guest, and I'm so glad she was able to join us because I have to be honest with you, I don't have the words. So Stacey, if you can hear us and you're able to join us.
You know what? She is muted.
Oh, she's muted. Yeah.
She's muted.
I'm asking her to unmute.
Perfect. Can you, Stacey?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for those of you who do not know who Stacey Ann Buchanan is, where have you been? But Stacey is a mental health advocate. She is also the filmmaker behind The Blind Stigma, which for me was one of the first documentaries that I really watched talking about Black mental health, which is so important. She's also been on TEDx. She's a former model. She's a lot of things. And Stacey's also a high school friend of mine. We've known each other since I was about 14, 15 years old. So proud of everything that Stacey's accomplished. And Stacey's joining us today. My voice is actually breaking as I'm saying this. But she is joining us today because I think the recent events that have been happening in the U.S. and here have hit us all probably harder, and for some reason I'm not sure why, and maybe Stacey can talk about this one, but it seems like George Floyd's death and now Regis Kaczynski-Paquette's death has somehow hit us maybe harder. I think it might have to do with the fact that COVID on top of everything else has us emotionally vulnerable. But I'm going to stop talking, mute myself, and I'm going to hand it over to Stacey to talk. And then throughout this interview, we're also on Instagram Live. So I'm going to be watching Instagram Live for any questions. And I definitely have questions that have been asked, Stacey, that I'll ask you throughout the show. So, Stacey Ann.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm actually, it's ironic, but I'm actually here downtown in the midst of the protest that's going on right now for Black Lives Matter and for justice for Regis. So I had to take a corner, just coming to a back street right now, just to talk to you guys because it was a last minute thing. And then I was like, yes, I have this interview to do, but how amazing is it to do it in the midst of what's happening? So I think what's happening with our people, with Black people, is just that we're tired. Being Black is an emotional war that we're fighting within ourselves internally over and over and over again. Do you speak out and have your white friends, your employees potential clients, people give you backlash and saying you're being the angry black woman or the angry black man? Or do you internalize that pain? And when you internalize that pain, what that is doing is a blatant injustice and crucifixion of your mental health. That is what we're doing. So we have these two battles. We're stuck in between this a rock and a hard place, and we don't know how to navigate. It's hard. And now with COVID and everything that's happening, we are just tired. Not only are we tired, we are exhausted. We are done. And we need to fight for freedom. We need to. We need to fight for our rights. We need the right as human beings to just be able to breathe. We need a right to go jogging. We need a right to listen to loud music. We need a right to be in our home watching cartoons. We need that right. And it's just taking a toll on us right now. And it's just we're just exploding. And we're no longer sitting by and letting bygones be bygones and just saying, okay, we're going to forgive. Yes, it's good to forgive, and I can get into all of that. But now is the time for us to stand. It's an uprising that's happening. It's a liberation that's happening, and we're not sitting back.
Stacey, thank you for that part. And for those of you who are on Instagram and you would like to join us in the Zoom, because we can definitely ask questions of Stacey, feel free to go to the link in our Instagram. We have put up the link for the Zoom. But, Stacey, you've kind of hit a chord with me because, I was talking with the ladies when we were planning the show. And I said, this week has been so emotionally exhausting for me. I haven't been able to do the things that I could normally do because I'm just so tired. I'm writing books, and I have my 5th book that I'm supposed to have finished this week. I've written maybe 2 hours when I would normally write 10. I'm trying to still keep on the good fight, grind, do the things that I need to do. But yesterday, I broke. My daughter's in the living room. I made sure she's here so she can hear from you what we need to do, because I am just so mentally drained because I have to explain that I'm safe nowhere. I'm not safe in my home. I'm not safe out of my home. I don't feel safe when my daughter's out with me. I sometimes don't feel safe when she's with me, because if we're in the car and we get stopped, and she's a young black woman, but she's also 5'11", and in the winter if she has a hoodie on, they can't tell if she's a boy or a girl. And I'm just so tired. So how do we mentally get through? Like, what can we do? Because I'm meditated and I'm working out and I'm doing, but I'm tired.
I think number one is we have to understand that it is okay to not be okay, and we need to go through our emotions and not bottle up our emotions. So whenever emotions that you're feeling, you got to let that out, because that's going to build up toxic negativity in your body, and over time it's going to overspill. Take a break from social media and take a break from the news. I know it's hard. Sometimes you just want to be in the know. You want to show that you're standing in solidarity, and you want to show that, yes, Black Lives Matter, you want to be a part of it. But if it's affecting you mentally, you got to take a break and tend to your mental health, because that is number one. Your mental health comes first over your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Everything. That is top priority. You got to take care of that first. And whatever you need to do to put yourself in a frame of mind, yes, it's out there, and yes, that's the world, and there's so much that we're thinking of, there's so much that we're bombarded with, but taking care of you comes first, and taking care of your mind comes first. So even if you need to take a week, a few days, whatever it is, to decompress, to relax, to meditate, to listen to music that make you feel good, reggae, soca, hip-hop, country, whatever makes you feel good, take that break. Those are the tips that I've been doing with myself. I knowing that I need to make sure that my mindset is right, and that I'm creating, that I'm always having a healthy mindset. This is so I'm right in the midst right now. If your audience is just joining me right now, I'm right in the midst of what's happening right now downtown at Bloor and Christie. Well, now we walked up to Bathurst and Bloor of the protest that's happening. And this was a last-minute decision. I knew I had to do this, and I'm also caught in going out there and showing that I support my phone dying and committed to this. So I am stuck here, not really stuck, but I am doing all of this not because I'm forced to, but because I want to. I know that kind of doesn't answer your question, but whatever you guys are doing, if it's if your mental health isn't great, take the break that you need. And you don't owe anybody anything. Take that break that you need. But also address your emotions, okay? Do not neglect your emotions. Do not put them aside and bottle them up. I'm telling you, when that is ready to overflow and overspill, that is creating a danger zone. So share how you're feeling, whoever, with a friend, with a colleague, through writing, share, through vocalizing, through breathing, through exercise. Just let it all out.
Thank you for that, Stacey. I had a question, and it was a specific question from a white female I went to high school with, and I'm hoping she's online. But tell me if you don't feel like you can answer this. But for her, her question was, as a white woman, what can I do to help the fight? The answer that I gave her is show up for me when I'm not in the room, right? Show up for me when I'm not there. It's easy to show up for me when I'm in the room, but when I'm not in the room and people are talking bad about me, as a black woman, as a black person, I need you to be there. Show your allyship through more than just be, there's a post going around that it's different to be non-racist and anti-racist, right? But when it comes to supporting us, because we can't have this fight by ourselves, like we carry the weight of the world, I feel, by ourselves. It's constantly with everything else, and this is why we have our mental challenges, and this is why we don't seek therapy, because we're like, we ain't got time for that. We're trying to live.
Yeah.
So
it's also not that we don't have time. We just feel like people can't understand us. You don't understand it, and you don't get my pain. And I'm ashamed of saying this. We're supposed to be strong, right? So it's just like we don't want to unload and let people know that we're weak. We don't even want to address over mental health issues. I think you answered your friend perfectly. Is to show allyship. Just like how you can tweet and Facebook and Instagram what's happening in your daily life, show what is happening in the world and what the injustice is happening to Black people. That's how you can give back. Donate to a charity, a foundation that is giving back to the Black community, people of color community, whatever it is. But show your allyship, and you don't have to do it in secret DMs. Put it out there in the public so people can know. Just don't make it private. Oh, I support you. No, put that shit out. Excuse my language. Put it out. Let people know. Because the more we stand in solidarity, the more it is. I remember when I shared the video of Amy Cooper attempted murder on Kristen Cooper, and some people will message me and be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that to her dog, and the poor racism that the man is experiencing. So the first thing that is noticed is the animal abuse, and then the racism to the Black man. So we are second to an animal. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think white people know of their actual privilege. And I'm not saying all white people are racist, because they're not. But they're born into a privileged system that they don't even understand is already set up for them. So once you know that you are privileged, once you know that opportunities come easier for you, once you know that, then you can do something about that. Do something about it. Because, when I first came to Canada, 14 years old from Jamaica, my dad sat me down and told me that was a different world I'm in. A different world. I got to do things 10 times, 20 a time, harder, better, just to get the same recognition. So once people know that, then show your allyship, because we're all human beings. And then that's why you should understand why Black lives really matter. I don't know how I'm going to continue doing this interview, and I apologize, because a part of me, my phone is dying, and I want to get back to my family and my friends that are in there. And I don't know if there's a way we can continue this. I'm sorry, I know this was last minute. We made the date for last minute, but I didn't realize that this time frame will be in this time frame. And I don't know if there's a way that we can probably continue this conversation, because I want to be at home, sitting down, and really talking about this without being distracted.
No, we completely get it, and we can probably do a part 2 next week, same time at 3 o'clock. But before you're
always on Saturdays that you guys do it?
Always on Saturdays at 3. Always Saturdays at 3. But before you go, I do have one final question, because this was an important one, and we might be able to tackle it next week. But I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who happens to be a white male raising black kids. And he recognizes that he's raising black kids, and he had a really hard time today because his wife texted him while he was at work for his son, his very young son, to ask Mommy, why do they hate us? And I had to call him this morning and try to help him through having to talk to his black son, who's practically a baby, about why they hate him.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been an ally. I've known him since I just came to Canada, 9-10 years old, 30 years, and he's cut off family members because they don't accept his choices that he's made. And now as a white man, he's now trying to tackle mentally how to help his young son and have that conversation. Like, what advice quickly?
Call on black friends. Call. If you have black friends, call on them. Have a group meeting. Have a Zoom meeting. Get your friends to be mentor. Because if you don't understand your struggle, and this is no disrespect, if you don't understand your struggle, you have friends that do. Call on you to talk to his young son. Be there. Be present. It's just like a mother or a father who's single-handedly raising their kids, and they know that their kid need a mother figure in the house or a father figure in the house, and they bring them to Big Brother or Big Sister Canada, right? Just to get mentorship. Then do that. Provide the mentorship for your child. It's not to take away from you being a father, but if you don't understand the struggle and the pain, but this is you showing that if I don't understand it for my son, I'm going to bring you to understand it. And I'm pretty sure you've got friends that are strong allies that can help you and to guide you. So call on your friends. Call on them just like what he did to you. He's doing the right thing. He called on you. You know, he called on you. So keep doing that. Just like when we're going through a struggle, we're calling on you to help us. Yeah. So call on your friends, you know?
I love that advice. And we want you to get back to it. I will probably be reaching out. My daughter and I have been talking about coming down there ourselves. So thank you, Stacey. I will reach out with you for next week's show as well, because I think this is something that we need to continue. But keep fighting the struggle, girl.
We need to continue this. Thank you guys for understanding.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Bye.
So we are going to continue. We want to thank Stacey for joining us, and of course, we are going to continue on with the show. So this is a tough one. And again, if you guys want to join us on Zoom, I know my girl Tamika's on with her phone. This is one of our shows that is going to be sort of interactive. Because it's tough, and I appreciate that Stacey came on when she was fighting the struggle, and I'm gonna try to get through the next 41 minutes of this show. I'm committed to seeing it through till the end. But we need support. This is the time where we need each other. And, you know, our second and third show that we started, when we started this back in February, discussed mental health. And mental health in terms of our own, and we shared our own stories, but we also talked about the labels of the strong black men and the strong black women and what that does to our community. And this is the time that we are vulnerable. I have to tell you, like, yesterday I cried with my daughter. Like, I didn't have anything else that I could do. This situation, I'm not sure why it's hit so hard, but it has. And it could be, like I said in the beginning, because there's COVID and you're already locked down and you're already financially vulnerable and emotionally vulnerable and physically vulnerable and mentally vulnerable. And you are doing all of the things that you're supposed to do to stay safe. Right? You're staying inside, you're socially distancing, you're doing everything. And knowing that you can watch a man die in front of you. And I have to admit, I didn't watch the full video. I've seen the clips. But to know that you literally saw a man's life being taken away for nothing more than supposedly going to the store and using a fake $20 bill. And then after that, you hear that a woman may, and I'm going to say may have been thrown off the balcony in Toronto by a police officer. And then we have to talk about Breonna Taylor being asleep as an EMT after a long day and being shot and killed. And then we can't jog. And then we can't eat ice cream in our own home. And we constantly have to have these conversations. And at some point, we break. So what we're seeing right now with the breaking is raw, vulnerable emotions from people. And I'm going to have Carcia talk in a second if she can. But Carcia did a video, and it was the most vulnerable I've seen her. And I've known Carcia for the last 8 years. Because she cried, and I cried with my daughter because we talked about the fact that George Floyd could have been her father, could have been any of our fathers, but George Floyd reminds me of my daughter's father because he's big and 6'7", right? And he is the epitome of, the scary, angry black man. We think about Regis Paquette could have been any of us. And so now we're seeing how where vulnerability gets you and where numbness gets you. And so they're burning everything down in the U.S. They're burning that whole shit down right now. Instagram can stop me. I don't care. The whole shit's getting burned down. Because at some point, it, like Stacey said, it bubbles up. Right? And we bubbled up because we are taught to keep it and suppress it. And we got to be strong. We got to do this because we have to work harder, run faster, be better, strive harder. It's just we've always been taught, and our mental and emotional stability is over there. But now we've had enough. Because we're literally being killed like animals in the street. And like Stacey said, when people watch, I was speaking to my friend this morning, my white friend I mentioned, about the fact that people would have been more outraged if George Floyd was a dog. And people were more concerned that Amy Cooper was holding up her dog's leash like this and possibly strangling the dog than the fact that she had used her white privilege and her white female power to call on a black man that was nowhere near her and could have caused yet another black man in his life. So, silence.
I got no words. I got nothing else. I mean, I feel like I've talked so much, and this is something that's like a broken record now. The only last thing that we have left to do is burn down the place. I don't know what else to say. It's like everything that Stacey said, and even in Carcia's video, like everyone is showing their emotion, and at the end of the day, like Stacey said, how much more can a human being take? What do they expect us to do? Just continue to sit with our arms folded and be like, oh, well, there goes another black guy. Better luck next time. It gets to the point where you're like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
This week has been a rough week for anyone, obviously, that is black. For anyone that is raising Black children, for anyone that's in love with a Black person. This is a hard week, and it's a hard pill to swallow that yet again in this year of 2020, where we're sending people to the moon, we can speak to people through Wi-Fi. We're inventing new things every day. Man is breaking records with physical fitness. We're faster than ever before. We're smarter than ever before. We're more spiritually connected than ever before. Yet we still have a problem that existed 600 years ago, and we can't seem to get over this idea of hate towards humanity that is a different color than the, leading race. And for me, like, when I made that video, I was not obviously planning on crying. Like Toshiba said, I do not cry. I'm actually the girl that would make fun of people that would burst out crying at work or whatever. I'd be like, you don't do that. That's not good. You don't do that. That's weakness. Well, like, what kind of woman are you? Like, I was that girl that made people feel bad about crying. And while I was speaking, I just pictured it. I pictured my dad. I pictured my cousins. I pictured my nephews being in the place of the amazing George Floyd. And when you picture that, if we were to do a visualization exercise right now, and you close your eyes and you picture your loved one, your husband, your daughter, your son, your brother, sister, whomever you love, and picture them in that situation, and then read what happens to the human body when they're being suffocated, when they're being strangled, and the events that occur in the human body of a slow death like that, you're not going to say all lives matter. You will not. You will not say that. And you will understand that when you say all lives matter, what you're saying is that let's ignore the problem. Let's ignore the problem and look at something that's easy because it's easy. The problem is that people of privilege, they can do that. But I can't. Telly can't. Toshiba can't. Our relatives can't. The people that love us can't, because they have to deal with this sort of situation every day. And at the same time, dealing with this sort of thing and then having to get up in the morning, feed your children, get on your laptop and work, because people expect you to show up. People are still expecting you to show up in the midst of this genocide, a worldwide genocide, and people expect you to show up. And not only to show up, but to do a good job, and to laugh, and to crack the jokes, do a tap dance, and do all these things. And it's almost like we're not allowed to show our emotion. The thing is that if someone's stepping on your toe, are you just gonna be like, yeah, this person's stepping on my toe hurts, feels like it's gonna break? You're just gonna stand there? Or are you gonna say, yo, get off my toe? And that's what people in Minneapolis are doing right now. They're saying, please get off my toe. They're saying, please treat us like human beings. When a child goes missing, breaking news, everything is breaking news. You can't see your favorite TV shows. You can't watch your favorite game shows because there's breaking news, and you're going to hear about that all day. So why can't we clog the system? And nothing clogs the system more, unfortunately. It's unfortunate, but this is the only way they will listen, unless we light the sky up. That's the only way we get attention, by doing exactly what they expect of us to do. That's the only time we get attention. We're in a different time than Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. We're not really showing up in two-piece suits and Sunday best church hats, because the time is different. It's not 1967. It's not, you know, the era of the Black Panther. This is the Black Panthers. This is a different era. And this is an era where Black excellence is at an all-time high. We have kids getting into Harvard. We have people inventing things, selling companies. Black excellence is on an all-time high. And the idea that we are doing 1,000% and still being looked at as less than human is a disgrace. And it's such a disgrace that, to be honest with you, never in my time have I seen so many white allies come and say, yeah, this is messed up. This has got to stop. And you know why that's happening? Because this is ridiculous. And anyone with half a brain would realize that we have every right to be angry. We have every right to be sad. We have every right to be depressed. And we have to let people know how we feel. This is not the time to make fun and cute memes and put them all over and say, ha, ha, ha. It's not that time, because that ain't saving us. Us turning things around as usual and making it funny is not helping us show the world that we need attention brought to our genocide. What is happening to us? Yes, we can joke and stuff when we need a break, when we need a mental break. We can enjoy our lives. We can go watch a movie and feel better. But at the end of the day, not all of us might want to go to a protest, but we can share resources. People have put up where we can write the mayor, where we can write, you know, all of these government heads about Regis. We can write to them and say, what happened to this young woman is a disgrace. We can write to all of the leadership parts. We can vote for these people. We can do whatever we can do to change things. But let's not just say, well, this is always going to happen and there's no point. Just because you might think, oh, you know, the world is just racist and there's nothing we can do about it. But you can do something about it. And you can do something about it by either, you know, if you are a non-POC, you can help the cause. You can help the cause by asking your Black friend, how are you doing today? What can I do? As Toshiba's friends ask, what can I do? I've had people say, what can I do to help you? And I was like, well, first of all, thank you for watching the entirety of that video. Thank you for checking in on me. My ask of you is don't be a bystander. When someone is making a comment and calling people LaQuisha when that's not their name, but calling them that because they're a Black woman, you need to be the person that says, that's not funny, man. That's actually really racist and you shouldn't say that. You need to be that person. If you hear just even a bit of hateful comments towards someone, you need to be the person to say that is wrong. And this goes for everyone, not just for, you know, HR, not just for, you know, in these companies and everything, but it goes for everyone. The kids on the playground. It goes for everyone. And it starts with education. It starts with parents, white, Black, Asian, Indian. Sit down with your children and let them understand what happened. Acknowledge what happened. The problem, a lot of the problem with the United States of America is that they will not admit that their country was built upon white supremacy. They won't admit it, they won't acknowledge it, and they won't do something to say, we are sorry. That's why people are in Minneapolis right now lighting it up. Because no one will say, I'm sorry. No one will say, yo, we were wrong. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have did that. Yeah, that 400 years, yeah, that wasn't called for. You can't have posters up of Beyonce in your locker and hate me. You can't. You can't be like, yo, LeBron, and be ready to take out a black guy just because he's jogging across the street. You can't be like, yo, R.I.P. Kobe, yet hating on the black guy that just left the convenience store. Because that easily could have been Kobe. Could have been LeBron. And our people are put on pedestals all the time for our excellence, but someone just can't wait to bring us down. And as I said in my video, you cannot love the culture and kill the creator. You cannot. You cannot love our culture. You cannot walk around with locks. You cannot walk around listening to hip hop. You cannot walk around twerking, doing Afro moves at the club. You can't be doing all of these things, following all these black influencers, wanting to wear wigs. Like, you can't be doing all of this and then kill us. Because if you don't nurture us, we die. And then where does the culture go? It dies with us.
You said a whole word, and I know Kelly's having a really difficult day today with the show, so we're not gonna force her to say anything. When she's ready, she will. Here's the thing: we titled the show "We Are Not Okay" because we are individually and collectively as a people not okay, and we are raging. Some of us raging inside, and some of us showing it by raging outside. But there is a rage, and when people you may expect to show up for you also don't show up for you, right? Like, it doesn't take a lot to check on your black friend. And, I before this show, I put up, my daughter woke up very emotional because she woke up to messages from her non-black friend checking on her. One of her non-black friends is trying to create a way that if they're together and they get separated or something happens, like, there is a way that her as a white friend can make sure that she's there for her. Like, these younger kids, they're like 18 to 22, and they're trying to figure out ways to come together and to show allyship. And she was in tears because she's like, Mommy, they're showing up for me, texting, messaging, FaceTiming, just saying, I want to make sure that you are okay. And so I had to say, ask yourselves, are your non-black friends showing up for you? Because when you are not okay and your other black friends are not okay, where do you go? Because you can't necessarily lean on someone who you also know is not okay. And so if they're gonna, one of my friends said it, he said, you can't eat food together and not be ready to do the dishes together. Don't break bread with me if you're not ready to show up for my rage, my despair, my anger, my numbness, my sadness, my fear, my dismay, my disheartenment. Like, the list of words go on. Don't just show up for me. Don't just show up. I don't want you just to show up for me, Toshiba Monique Billings. I need you to show up for me, the black woman, the black person, the person who's in this black skin, because I am not okay. And as we go through this trauma, this is trauma. What we're experiencing is trauma. And the problem is we experience it and we experience it and we experience it and we experience it and we experience it. Our generation is the generation of the Rodney King when, again, they burned that whole shit down. We saw what happened with Rodney King. And why is this still happening today? They're not killing us less. They're just being filmed now. And a man was on film looking up as people told him, this man cannot breathe. And he looked up at them like, so what about the ones not being filmed right now? What would have happened to Ahmaud Arbery if that videotape never existed? When he was hunted down like they were trying to hunt down cattle or deer to shoot? What would happen if Kenneth didn't live to tell Breonna's story, for them to know what happened? We are experiencing trauma. And, you know, my girlfriend Tamika's on, and I don't know if she's ready to talk, but she's raising 7 black kids, and God bless her. And I can't imagine having to have this conversation with 7 different kids about the same thing, and how exhausting that must be for her as a mother, as a woman, as a human. I have to have it with one, and I'm exhausted. I have to worry about one, and I'm exhausted. So we're tired. And we don't know where to put our rage, our sadness. So when people want to talk crap in the news, and, you know, kudos, whatever people want to say about CNN, I think they're doing a fair job, as media can do, trying to cover what is happening and trying to understand. One of the reporters was literally handcuffed on air while doing his job. He was live on air, doing his job. And he was still not seen as a basic human, while his white counterparts that they passed by, they were fine. They wanted to verify he worked for CNN. Well, he was live on air. His badge on his pants. I could see it. And I wasn't there. We could all see it. So we are numb. And we are tired. And we took a knee. And we were called motherfuckers by the President of the United States. Colin Kaepernick lost his job. And he took a knee because he wanted to silently protest. Good job, Martin. It's not time for Martin. Be Malcolm and burn that whole shit down. Burn it down. We can't walk in the park. Christian Cooper looked like the most unassuming black man I've ever seen in my life. The man was bird watching in the park and simply said to a white woman to nicely, I could only imagine the demeanor he used, and I wasn't there. Please put your dog on a leash. And we saw the encounter after that. So he couldn't even politely ask a woman to put her dog on the leash, which is the law, without her turning this into, a black man is threatening me. He was nowhere near you. Like, he was nowhere, like, he was socially distancing. And you, And you want us to feel what? Like, what emotion should we feel? We should put a Band-Aid on it and call it a day? I know you have a gunshot wound, but let's just put this Band-Aid on it. I know you got internal bleeding, but don't worry. Go home. That's what this is feeling like. It's the same. You're getting hit each time in the same spot. Every time we hear something on the news, every time you read something in the paper, every time someone in your family has to experience racism, in the workplace, in the store, when you get followed, when you have a random check. Because I'm always, my daughter wrote about it, we're always randomly freaking checked at the airport. The only benefit now is that they'll put you in the front of the line when they realize we ain't got no drugs on us. But whatever. So you're always right. You get to the point, I'm like, yes, I know the deal. Here you go. Like, I know the routine. I know what to do. So it's constantly when you go out, you can't live in peace and you can't even rest in peace. Because if you're killed by the hands of a cop, the first thing they do is go find out what you did when you were in kindergarten. And the fact that you pinched little Ashley on the playground and that was the start of your violent rage. But white man can decide that he's going to plan an attack in Las Vegas, rent a nice hotel room, take a gun, shoot all these people, and the first thing they're going to say is, oh, such a nice man, clearly he was suffering from mental health issues. We don't have mental health issues? We can't be suffering from mental health issues? We weren't ripped away from everything we know and put on boats and being sold. And even in 2020, our Garcia said it last week, even with inflation, we were worth a fake $20 bill. That's what our life became. So we are years removed, centuries removed, 400, 500, 600 years removed from being put on boats and being sold as slaves. And in 2020, our life came down to a fake $20 bill, which, by the way, wasn't fake. 8 police or 4 police or how many police showed up for a potential non-violent crime? I had the misfortune of having to read the transcript to the ladies yesterday as we prepared for the show. Which, if you haven't, maybe you shouldn't, because that's a whole other set of things. Having to read that transcript and what was being said and implied and everything else. That a man can pay, anybody could have a fake bill. I could be handed a fake bill by going to Walmart, the corner store, my grocery store. It's happened to me. I was given a fake bill. When I went to, so potentially I could have been killed. So our life in 2020 comes down to a fake $20 bill. That is what we're worth now. And we're not suffering. We are not allowed to be not okay. Keep fighting the good fight, black people. Take that knee. Okay, don't take that knee. It's disrespect to the flag. Okay, well, the flag has nothing to do with it. Oh, it can be fired. Okay, well, don't be too loud. Don't be too soft. Don't. Imagine having a child in the middle between two parents and constantly, don't. You know what they'd say to you? Your child probably needs a therapist for you guys to work through these things because it's going to affect their mental health. I can only imagine Tamika put something on her Facebook today of the talks you have to have with your kids. Don't wear a hoodie in the store. Don't if a white woman's coming close and she's by herself, walk to the other side of the street. Don't have music in your car. Turn it down. Don't have the wrong music in your car. Don't drive through certain neighborhoods at a certain time of the day. Don't drive through certain neighborhoods at a certain time of night. Don't walk through certain neighborhoods in a certain time of day. Don't walk through certain neighborhoods in a certain time of day. My friend said it this morning. He said, Sheba, as a white man, I've never had to have those conversations with my parents. My parents never had to sit me down and have a conversation with me about where I can and cannot go. And his wife had to have a conversation with his 5-year-old son because he had lost his ball in the neighbor's yard to not go into the neighbor's yard because he's 5 years old with his skin color. That might be the end of that. I had a friend who the school was threatening to call the police on his 8-year-old son after a little girl had punched him and then he punched her the fuck back. the parents felt threatened by an 8-year-old. And they were going to call the police on an 8-year-old little black boy after their little white girl had started it. After the kids in the class said that the little white girl started it. And so he chopped her ass back. They're in grade 3. And we do what? We suffer in silence because we did that for years. We did that. We've all on this show did that. I did that for years. I just suffered in silence. You don't have, how am I going to unpack all of this when I've got everything else to do? I'm just trying to live. So I didn't have time to unpack. And now that I've unpacked, and thank God I've done it, and I try to do the right things, I still am burdened with the fact that every day of my life, waking up black, I'm in danger of being part of an extinct race.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Yep, that's the reality of this situation. Again, for everyone that's hearing this now, for everyone that will hear it, there has to come a time where people realize, oh, I get it. Some people, they notice. You know, it's funny, whenever we go out, they always ask me what I want to order before you. Or I do notice that every time we walk into a store, they look at me thinking I'm going to pay. You know, people that are non-POCs, they realize they realize their white privilege. We need more people to do that. We need more people to sit down and listen, sit down and watch Black TV, go on Netflix and look at every single documentary on race relations. Learn about systematic racism and learn that the world is set up the way it is. And you have to go against the grain to be woke. You have to go against the grain and say, wait a minute, this is wrong. Because who's ever waiting for the government to come save us, I hate to say it, but we cannot depend on them, because the first thing they will say is, oh, that's out of my jurisdiction. The mayor of that city needs to figure that out. Or they'll say, I'm really worried about my election in November. I don't have time to deal with that. And the thing is that we have all these world federations for tigers and lions that are being killed and skinned, and associations for elephants. And I'm not downgrading these things and saying, oh, whatever. But I'm also saying, where's our federation? Where is our association that's saying, hey, we shouldn't be out here killing Black people? We should stop killing Black people. We should stop calling the police on Black people that are literally just hanging out at the barbecue with a permit. Why are we calling the police on people having a good time? They're not bothering you. They're not even looking at you. They're like 20 feet away. Why do you care about their business? So there's just a lot of unpacking to do. And my ask is of all like Black people, like Toshiba said, you know, feel your feelings and be okay to feel them. Acknowledge your feelings. And for white people, check in on your Black friends. To be honest with you, I am really overwhelmed with the amount of non-Black people that had reached out and asked how I was doing and how they could help. And for Black people that are worried about putting a photo up of George on their Instagram because of branding, shame on you. Shame on you. Because it's our job. It's actually not white people's job to to bring awareness to Black racism, to Black hate. That's our job. And to speak your feelings, I know not everyone's on Instagram or on Facebook, whatever it is, but there is no shame in saying that me, as a Black person, am feeling really sad today because these people in the past 3 weeks have had their lives taken away from them. They were not armed, they were not violent, they were innocent. And if a brand is going to pull a contract from you because of that, you shouldn't want to work with that brand anyway. And I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be petty. Telly and I last night, we went through Instagram accounts from all of our Blacks to see, let's see what they've been up to. Because anyone that hasn't posted not even one RIP hashtag,
gone.
Bye.
You can't say that you're pro-Black and that you're for Black people, for your own people, and then when soon as something bad happens, you go the other damn way. It doesn't work like that. That man looked like us. And he was viciously murdered. He suffocated. And you have the audacity to go on your Instagram or your stupid friggin' Twitter and just say, oh, today's such a lovely day. How is it lovely? A man that looks just like you died.
And I was like, anyone that's not, if you are my color, because I don't understand how even, you know, people that are of mixed race, they are out here planning these protests. White people are out there wearing t-shirts and helping our Black brothers and sisters burn down Minneapolis. And you're a part of the community and you have no... I'm not saying you need to go protest. I'm not saying you need to go post all over the world. But I am saying you need to show up. This is the time to show up. This is the time now. Because if you are staying silent, you are part of the problem, regardless if you're white, Black, Asian, Indian, Latino, whatever. If you're not showing up, don't let the indigenous community, they are showing up for us and you can't show up for yourself? Come on.
Listen, I am the biggest person to call people out, so I'm going to call some people out, because I don't give a fuck, right? Here's my thing. If your bank account is more important than basic human decency, because at some point, I'm going to be very clear, this is not a Black-white issue, and we may have to end up going back on Not Your Typical Girl Talk because it might stop the broadcast. But anyways, if you care more about the almighty dollar than just basic human decency, basic. It's not about George Floyd being even Black. What you witnessed of this man's knee on another man's neck.
This is...
As he cried out for his mommy.
Who passed away. This is a human rights crisis, Toshiba. This is not just another Black thing happening. No, this is human decency. Everyone from every community, whether you're a part of the LGBTQ, whether you're